and welcome to Hockey on Tap podcast. This is episode 53. Fire James Dolan. I am your host, Bill Dean, and I'm here with my three co-hosts, Little Steve, Schwim, and Sam Wu. We are brought to you by Sam, as well as Primetime Radio, and you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Please leave us a 5-star review if you'd be so kind. Boys, it's going to be a quick show. We got a lot in store. What are we drinking?
I am drinking Bolero Snort. I don't think I've had a Bolero Snort in quite a long time, but I actually purchased this at the liquor store called Smoothie Party. Party. It's good. Smoothie style sour with mango, pineapple, tangerine, passion fruit. If you're a fan of beer, I don't recommend this because this is straight juice.
If you're a fan of beer.
It's not an actual beer. It's just like imposter beer.
It's alcoholic juice.
Pretty much.
Hey,
I'm drinking an old favorite, a Two Roads, Too Juicy. New England IPA from, where's Two Roads? I think they're Connecticut.
You might be right.
I think they are. Old favorite, pretty good. It's been in the fridge for a while, so I'm trying to clear out all the old...
Is there a year on that one?
I don't know.
It's got to be at least 2, at least.
I don't know if there's anything on the bottom, but it tastes pretty good still. Because I don't feel well while drinking it.
Stash.
The accidentally aged stash.
Yeah, I mean, Melvin, what are you drinking, Melvin?
Do you... I would say it's just obviously water, right? There's nothing else you're giving him?
He likes the fountain. I think he's going to drink from the fountain tonight.
Ooh,
so,
nice.
That's a change of pace as opposed to the toilet.
Not bad. Mr. Wu, are you drinking anything of consequence?
I have you two guys or three guys and Melvin drinking for me. So no.
That is more than enough, trust me.
Yes.
I am also going from Bolero Snort. It is a brand new one called Bolnana Cream Pie.
I feel like they've used Bolnana before.
Yeah, I thought so too, but yes, this one heavily fruited sour with banana, graham cracker, and marshmallow. So sorry, Steve, it is not for you.
Not for me.
All right, boys. So like I said, very packed show, and we will get off to the hot topic. Let's get to what's on tap for today's episode. Here's our weekly snapshot. Tom Wilson is a piece of trash. I actually wrote something worse, but I don't want to, sully our airwaves with cursing and stuff. But we obviously were on live when it happened, when Tom Wilson decides that he's going to be, a jagaloon and a big jerk. He has a stick around Booch's neck, and he falls to the ground, or the ice, falls to the ice, and proceeds to punch Booch in the back of the head when he can't really do anything. So first off,
multiple times.
Yeah, multiple times. But first off, fine, that's great. Then he's tackled by Ryan Strome, and I forgot who was tackled, who then tackled Strome in the process. But then you see Wilson get up, and he punches Strome while he's engaged with someone else. So no second offense. Then Artemi Panarin decides to baby ragdoll him and jumps on his back, and it looks like a little kid jumping on a man. And he proceeds to get ragdolled by Wilson. Wilson with a slew foot pulling his hair. Panarin's head just misses the ice, goes shoulder first. And thank you, Sam. I really hope the Devils have issues with Tom Wilson, and then they can play this music for when Sam does his rant. But Wilson cannot keep control of himself, which is number one. He saw Panarin, and he knew who he was attacking, and he still decided to go off and totally possibly destroy a player's career. Everyone's like, well, what if he killed Panarin? I don't necessarily think it was going to be that bad, but still, he goes after someone he knows he can easily, shoo away like a fly. He's only fined $5,000, and apparently that was for the Buchnevich punch to the back of the head. It wasn't in anything in regards to Panarin.
Not for anything else, of course.
Not for anything else. The Rangers then issue a team statement calling out George Peros, which, they say their Department of Player Safety says they're coming down hard on the players. I actually like that the Rangers called out the league. I thought that, showed a little gumption.
I do too.
A team finally calls BS on the shitty Department of Player Safety. the Rangers then take it into their own hands on the Wednesday game and have over 100 combined penalty minutes, including a line brawl in the first period. Buchnevich is then suspended for a game. Yeah, off the face-off, first face-off. Buchnevich is then suspended for one game for the cross-check to Mantha, which was well-deserved.
That was a high
he
stick,
deserved
right?
it. Yeah, he
Call a high stick.
Well,
he didn't actually
yeah,
cross-check
but
him.
I mean, well, he cross-checked him in the mouth.
No, he didn't. His left hand wasn't even on a stick. So that's why I call it a high stick.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
It was well deserved. That was a game. He deserved it.
Yeah, it was a bad penalty. Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
So we'll get into the stuff with the other Rangers, but just from the Tom Wilson whole issue, and of course my dog is mad at Tom Wilson as well.
Understandable.
Animals can sense evil.
They can. I mean, Tom Wilson is evil, and we watched it. While we were on air, we were going, play by play with Sam Rosen, who obviously is the biggest Rangers homer there is. But
I didn't hear sound.
You don't hear sound?
I didn't hear sound when it was playing, but Tom Wilson is, by the very definition of the word, a bully. I want everybody to go back, or anybody who's curious, go back and look at all of his suspendable hits and look at the players that he hits. All of them are significantly smaller than him. He will not step up and do things like that to anybody who is an actual fighter. He routinely backs off of Matt Martin, and he continuously goes after the smaller guys, much smaller guys. And, he basically gets, most of the time, ends up getting a slap on the wrist, but he's suspended, 8 times now he's been suspended? Something along those lines?
Yeah,
I might be overstating it, but he's been suspended multiple times or fined. Maybe it was a combination of the two. But go back and look at the hits and look at the size of the players and, the scrums and stuff that he starts with this. The Buchnevich play, the whole thing was dirty, and it's the Panarin thing that bothers me more, where he took a helmetless head, grabbed him by the hair, and drove it to the ice. That there is suspension worthy. The Buchnevich thing and the scrum afterwards is just dirty, but that's just kind of Tom Wilson. But this is what happens when you hire a goon to be responsible for suspending other goons. George Peros is a lifetime goon and always was while he played. And now his job is to penalize other goons. That's exactly why you're not seeing any consistency with suspensions or anything like that. He doesn't want to take, that's him. That is the player that he is, or the player that he was. So he sympathizes with them. And this is the major problem I have with the Department of Player Safety, is that they sympathize with the offender, not with the player who gets hurt. And the same goes with the NHLPA. They fight to get suspensions lessened without considering how hurt the player is who was involved in this egregious penalty. And if this is you can't have, I think, in all honesty, of course, you don't have to, it can't be this exact player, but I think you need to have somebody like Paul Correa run the Department of Player Safety. Someone like that.
I love
who's
that.
Been there.
Who's been on the
receiving end of this crap, and drop the hammer down on players who do this instead of being like,
or somebody who's been neither. It would be better than somebody who's been the goon in the league. Somebody who would be impartial, maybe to both. But I like the Korea idea. I definitely like. I think that would be a really good idea for that. But yeah, it's ridiculous. There's no consistent. It's like the refereeing. The refereing's so inconsistent.
That's a whole other topic to talk about.
The player safety people, they're completely inconsistent. I don't know. The Rangers were right with what they did. I have no problems with that.
The statement, I'm 100% on board with that statement. And everybody agrees. Every single person agrees that the Department of Player Safety, even if you some people are like, oh, you'd be lucky to have Tom Wilson on your team, or any other GM would want Tom Wilson on their team, and people who routinely watch him play and see things that they do to these players, I don't want him anywhere near my team. I already had a Matt Cook on my team, and I had a major problem with that. And ownership, and this is where this comes in again. Ownership in Pittsburgh made Matt Cook change his ways, and he did. At the end of his career, he changed. But before that, of course, the damage was done. He's probably one of the dirtiest players in the history of the league. But what you have in Washington are a group of enablers. And from an interview that Brooks Orpik did, and I know all of you know how candid Brooks Orpik is, he'll give you the straight answer exactly what you're looking to hear. And he said that Alex Ovechkin in every shift goes out to hurt somebody. And if that's your captain who's making an effort to go out every shift to hurt another player, that's the captain of the team. That's the leadership for Tom Wilson. And it trickles down from there. So that's the entire organization. They're just enablers for this guy. They love what he does. They want him to continue to do it. And you see it by like their actions. Nobody ever says anything negative about anything that he ever does.
Well, what's crazy, and I think Sam wants to add something, so before we get into that, what's crazy is that they said if Ovechkin was not on this team, Tom Wilson would be the captain. How is that possible? This guy is trash. I mean, he does that.
Is he an assistant captain?
Like, no, I don't think so. I think it's Backstrom, it's Oshie, which we'll get into Oshie in a second because that's some positive, at least Oshie with positives.
Yeah.
And then it's Carlson, I think, is the other one. But, this guy, with just him, like even after he gets in the penalty, he's in the penalty box and he's flexing, like it's amazing. And I actually defended this guy a little bit in the beginning of the season when he had that hit on Brandon Carlo, and I totally could change my mind. He is a dirty piece, and I know it happened to my team. I have every right to be upset about it, and maybe I wouldn't be doing this if it was another team. But judging from what you guys
sometimes that's what it takes is it to happen to your own team, because I do know that I mean, following social media, there was a huge uproar from the entire Rangers fan base about Tom Wilson and hating him, and I've been watching and hearing for years and years and years now, while Tom Wilson's been doing this crap to the Penguins, that they basically love it because he's doing it to the Penguins, who are another team that you hate. So it's nice to see something like that when you're doing it to a rival, but you don't really understand just how dirty of a player he is until he really is starting to take out the best player on your team.
Yeah. AJ, with you guys should be careful. Dolan might ban you for four from the Garden. I don't think Steve Schwim or Sam would be unhappy about that.
I don't think I'm welcome anyway, so that's okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Didn't the one Ranger player get a misconduct or something for making fun of Wilson in the next game?
Well, yeah,
he pretended to flex for like a second, and they gave him a 10-minute.
Rooney.
It was Rooney, the former Devil. Yeah.
Did they throw him out, or they only gave him like a 10-minute misconduct?
They kicked him, and they gave him and Wilson a misconduct. All right, Sam, what do you got? I want to hear from the
I didn't have any issues with any of this. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
I know.
You know how like some sports shows, they always have to have the one guy that has to have the opposite view, even though it's so obvious, right? Yeah. But
sometimes it's forced.
Yeah.
Most of the time
and you know what? First off, the optics didn't look good. Leave it to a Del Barton grad, George Paros. If you're from Jersey, you know what I'm talking about. A Princeton Ivy League grad to overthink this whole scenario. I do believe he probably overanalyzed the tapes or the replays, but the optics and the history, the whole body of work of Tom Wilson should have played a factor in the decision making. Now,
aren't those part of the rules that also they say if you have a history of if you're a repeat offender, you're supposed to get it's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
So now this is what the NHL is marketing. Okay, now this guy gets to play the next game against the Rangers. What do you expect is going to happen? You signed these TV deals, and the first thing that happened, again, an emotionally staged fighting in the beginning, and then, all the other shenanigans, and you just pray and hope for the league, for the Shield, that nobody gets seriously injured with all those shenanigans, because it can happen. I think the league got lucky there. I don't think we live in an age right now where the code, players policing themselves, those days are over. The league should have taken a stand right then and there, easily suspended to the end of the season because of history. That's what with playoffs, pay, everything. Because what did Tom Wilson learn, and what exactly happened here? Unfortunately for the Rangers, the optics looked like Tom Wilson escaped this one and single-handedly put bad luck on the New York Rangers franchise. A GM and president gets fired, which was unrelated. But again, it's all perception and optics.
Related but unrelated.
The Rangers players, although it was a valiant effort, they lost every single fight. I watched every single thing.
Yeah,
No.
It was a valiant
They
effort,
didn't lose
but
every single fight. Blackwell
about.
did beat Hagelin. Hagelin fell to the ice, and Blackwell did not punch him while he was on the ice. That was a win.
Yeah, it was. The fights were bad. The fights were bad.
Yeah, they were.
They stood up. They stood up for themselves, and I give them all credit in the world because they had to do it.
Yes.
Brendan Smith, and everyone can say that he gets paid too much. That's fine. I don't care. That's neither here nor there. He is a lightweight in the fighting industry, and he goes up against Tom Wilson, who's 6'4", 220. Like, this guy's. He's meant to be a guy that throws fists, right? And valiant effort, and that's very good to see your teammates step up. I know that was kind of an issue with, Sam, one more time, and then we'll go to the Gordon Davidson thing.
Yeah, but who really lost out in the storylines here is TJ Oshie.
Yeah, well,
and
I got the
honestly, I hate to be in that position. You hear about the Brett Favre, Monday Night Football, I can't imagine, and especially when TJ Oshie, to me, he's one of us. He's an American-born player. So thankful for his parents and all that kind of stuff. And what we're talking about is
let's get to it.
Jerk, that caused a lot of havoc.
Well, let's get to the positive before we do the Rangers. So as you mentioned, TJ Oshie, he scores a hat trick in the game on Wednesday against the Rangers. This coming after his father, who they called coach. He was at the Stanley Cup game-winning game against the LA Kings when Washington won the Cup. And, he's there. He's celebrating. His dad has Alzheimer's. So, obviously he wasn't all there even when they won. But he said that this was something that he would remember, and his dad even waking up the next day. And there's that whole thing about how it's a lot of cat. But there's that whole thing about how he, immediately remembered the Stanley Cup win, and he was talking about it, and just little things like that make you, happy to be a hockey fan. And those are the memories. You're with your dad, you're driving to the hockey arena at 4:30 in the morning, and you go and all this stuff, or your mom, or and this was what makes hockey so great. But Oshie has this moment. You can see he's visibly upset. He's crying on the bench. And it's one of the good points in hockey. And you're talking about the bullshit with Wilson and all this other stuff. But that's one of the things you look forward to watching and seeing. And honestly, that's why I think hockey's the best sport. It's just moments like that I don't think you can replicate in any other sport.
Yeah, I mean, you have obviously, there's moments Sam just said with like Brett Favre and so on, and it gives you that little bit of extra adrenaline. But it really was, I mean, it's a sore subject for me. I had a grandfather who battled Alzheimer's for basically the entirety of my life since I was born. He was diagnosed before I was born, so there's not a lot of memories where he was, there. And those were, I was very young when that was. So I understand. To some extent, what Oshie, was going through, because it's pretty horrible to. I mean, it wasn't my parent, it was my father, it was my grandfather, but to come out there with such emotion and to score the hat trick, and it was great to see. And over the years, watching Oshie play, I've always liked Oshie. There's a lot that I don't like about Oshie and his style of play, but you really feel for the guy, and you really feel good for the guy after that happened. And rivalry aside and whatever dirty plays or whatever that may have happened, it was all lost in that moment because it was just such a, beautiful moment for him and for his family, and a great honor to his father. And I was happy to see it, but unfortunately the rest of the game was a complete nightmare. But that was nice. That was really heartwarming. All of that happened.
It was like sad to see, and also like nice to see at the same time. Yeah. I don't know. It was kind of hit me both ways. But I was happy for him that he scored a hat trick. When I saw that, I'm like, I didn't know what was going on. When I saw him, I'm like, why is everybody hugging him? What's going on? Then I started listening to it, and they're talking like, oh, he just lost his father and he scored a hat. I'm like, I had no idea about that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, that's crazy. You scored a hat trick.
He was out the game before because his father passed away.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was there for that Wilson game.
it reminds me a little bit of, and Steve knows about this, the Marty St. Louis Mother's Day game where he scores the game-winning goal to get the Rangers back to Game 7, and the Rangers win and go on to go to the Cup. But
good old Marty.
They're great moments. There's another moment with kind of opposite, but also heartwarming. If you guys didn't see Ryan Miller.
I saw that
after the game with his parents. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just like it's a moment where you see Ryan Miller, and he's this veteran of the league for 18 years. Was it that he played seasons, and older than us, obviously. But in that moment, he was a kid again with his parents, and it was just like it really like chokes you up a little bit to see these guys, and sometimes you forget how human athletes are and celebrities are, or whatever, because they're famous, they're rich, they're whatever. And then you see them just break down, just like you or me, and they're so vulnerable. And I don't want to say, like you were saying, it's not like it's nice to see, but it's just like it's a mix. It's a mix of emotions that you get. That's just, I don't know. It's an experience, I guess, to see it.
No, it is. So I have some other positives, but let's go to, back to the namesake for the title. Rangers fire Jeff Gorton as well as John Davidson, their GM and president. And I wrote in here a rant because I am not very happy about this whole thing. There was talk about, the Rangers issued a statement, basically saying, Department of Player Safety was a joke. There was rumors and talk from some good sources that Gorton and Davidson had distanced themselves from the team statement that was issued on Tuesday night. They told executives they did not know the statement was in the works until it was released by Dolan. Dolan says they were missing a key piece to being a Stanley Cup contender, which he didn't give the name or didn't actually give the word, but he thinks it's toughness. Dolan said he wasn't communicated with as well. And this is where, I can see them going and, dropping a first round pick for Ryan Reeves, or doing something stupid where they trade Lafreniere for, Evander Kane or something just asinine because, they think that they need toughness in a league that's built on skill. And, they do name Chris Drury.
Right.
They do name Chris Drury the new GM and the president, and I think he'll be a good player, a good GM for them.
I think so too. I think
Tom sent.
I wanted him on Pittsburgh before they got Hextall.
That a bunch of people think that he could be an Yzerman type GM. So I mean, that obviously
he has a ton of promise for sure, and he's highly respected already, and was highly touted by a lot of teams that wanted to bring him in, but he didn't want to leave. So I almost feel like he was kind of waiting for this to happen. So that's why I think there's more than just this whole statement thing. There has to be, right? Because if he has the opportunity to be a GM and other teams are, basically the job is yours, and he's just like, no. And then all of a sudden this comes up and he's like, absolutely. So you knew it was coming. He had to have known it was coming soon. Maybe not this soon, but soon.
Yeah.
Maybe ownership talked to him about, depending on how the season goes, if we don't improve, if we don't make the playoffs, you're the guy. Maybe he had that, but no, I don't like the statements about that we need to get tougher, but sometimes it's annoying to see them play a team like Washington. That's all. Washington is just built on being big. They're just built on being tanks. That's why they're typically so healthy, because no one really in that division is built like they are. But look at them play. They are very slow.
Yep.
And for a very fast team to play against them, it's a matchup nightmare. And of course they got slower with Zdeno Chara, but they're a slow team. And they could get out of the East based on skill alone, because they are also very talented. But to construct, if you're going to make a model out of the Washington Capitals, if that's what the Rangers are trying to do, they're going to fail, because those players that Washington has gathered, they're basically a monopoly. And there's a handful scattered across the league, but no one's getting rid of those guys. Those players just aren't going to be available unless they're just going to straight up go after like your borderline fourth line bruisers
Ryan Reeves.
Ryan
Who I
Reeves would
actually
be one,
like.
and I like
Who I like.
Ryan
Yeah.
Reeves too.
Yeah, but you don't want to give up a ton for him.
No, I wouldn't give
No.
up anything for him. To be
No,
honest with you, like if you
yeah.
can sign him through free agency
Yeah.
for like league minimum or a little above that, fine. But even then, for if the Rangers are built like how they are now, and the one piece they're adding is Ryan Reeves, tell me where he fits in that lineup.
Well, not only that, I mean, they have so many
You're
pieces
basically
that
just
they
plugging
need.
them to plug them. That's it. You don't care at all about chemistry or some sort of flow on your fourth line. If you're going to have all this speed and surround Ryan Reeves with speed, it doesn't make any sense.
No, it's. I mean, Dolan
Although
says
I would
that,
love to see Ryan Reeves play Tom Wilson more often during the course of a year.
Yeah, no, that would be fun. Dolan says that he thought that they should be a playoff team. I don't know if he looked at the roster or the teams that were in division before this, but there are 4 teams that are clearly better than the Rangers, and they've been
going
clearly
into the
better
season,
than the Rangers.
Philly, you would bet Philly too
Yeah.
going into the season. I mean, Philly had a major collapse, but I would put Philly in that conversation as well. I mean,
Yeah,
we
no,
were
a couple
talking
people-
about the Rangers potentially competing, 6 teams
Yeah.
potentially competing, but you have to compete for 4 spots. Like that's not easy. 2 good teams aren't going to make it, and the Rangers could still I still consider the Rangers a good team. They had moments where whatever happened, I think the Panarin thing was a major, major obstacle that you guys couldn't really get over. Him leaving for an extended period of time, some injuries, and maybe coaching just isn't that great. I mean, it's not horrible, but it wasn't enough to get you over that hump. And then you had those, long streaks of losses that just, you can't recover from those. If you go on losing streaks and how competitive this East was, that's basically it. I mean, that's why Philly, they collapsed a little bit, and maybe they won a game here or there, but they just you can't recover from a long losing streaks or a multitude of losing streaks in this division. So
Yeah,
I'm not buying it with I think the Rangers are still on the right path. I don't know why you would be so
They're
disappointed.
one of the youngest teams.
Well, I'm disappointed because I love the talent's awesome, and I think we do.
I'm not talking about you being disappointed. I'm talking about ownership being disappointed.
Ownership, yeah. The talent's there. They do need a first or second line center, depending on what they're going to do with Zibanejad. But if they get rid of Zibanejad, then they need 2 centers. So you really need that other top end center.
Stamkos and Eichel.
Yeah, God damn it. You also need some help on defense. I know they bring in the kid Zach Jones, and I think they have Lundqvist is available next year.
They're just so young.
It's a young.
Really young.
They need not veterans. I'm not talking they need 36, 37-year-old guys. I'm not saying they need a Ryan Getzlaf. They need just established guys or time for these guys to be more established. So you're getting 24, 25.
That's why I don't understand why people were expecting them to what are they expecting them to win the division this year? I thought they would maybe compete for a playoff spot, maybe.
Yeah, well, that's what we were talking about in the beginning. It was we can see the Rangers making it, but it is very competitive. Even Dean, you were saying that you didn't think they were going to make the playoffs in the beginning.
I didn't have them making the playoffs. It's just, I like.
It seemed unrealistic based on how this division was made up. That maybe they could, but it was a long shot, and I think they pulled the. But I mean, if I were you, I'd be happy about Drury, but
well, I'm scared to hell.
Gordon did
Dolan.
well. Look at the team that he has built so far, and the draft and the way that they've drafted. They've drafted very well, and they were able to keep their picks and keep their prospects really. But now, I mean, here we go.
No, they're gonna make a big deal.
Now are all your prospects supposed to
definitely
be
make a big splash
shipped out
this off season? They're gonna do something.
Now listen, I don't. Eichel, I'm on the fence about if we could get a Barkov or someone of that.
The Florida would be so dumb to get rid of.
Yeah,
Barkov.
but they are the point. The point is they are dumb, and maybe they do pull off something where they get a bunch of assets for someone like that. But I
think
still,
Barkov's he's the
team.
It's
really stupid. Arizona. Why don't you try to pluck some of their players from that?
Yeah, but there's no.
But
do you see a number 1 center?
No, not number 1, but there's some decent middle of the road guys there.
Yeah, but they need
a center.
What you need is a Jack Eichel.
Yes,
though he costs way too much money. His contract is terrible, and he's going to cost too much to acquire.
Yeah.
But that's what you need, and I can't.
But
to
also,
be completely
Buffalo's
honest with
stupid.
you,
maybe they could, not give him that much and still get Eichel.
I mean, there's
but
there's
still
talk
they're going to have to give up something, at least
Well, so
something significant.
So this
it's
is
not
what
going
I
to be
hear.
like a Filipino for Jack Eichel and some picks.
I hear
and some
two
prospects who
firsts.
haven't played yet.
I've heard 2 firsts: Kravstov, Braden Schneider, who was a first-round pick this year, Niels Lundqvist, who was also a first-round pick and the top defensive prospect in the league, and then like Strome and D'Angelo to cover costs of the contract. That's a hell of a lot to give away. That's a team.
That's a lot. Yeah, it's a ton. I mean, he's a 24-year-old. He's locked up for a while, and he's elite. Yeah. So, I mean,
and
that
you don't deal Kakko or Lafreniere in that deal.
Yeah,
which
you're
is,
keeping all the other guys.
If you don't, if you can hang on to them,
all those other guys.
But that's what you need a number one center, and I don't know how many number one centers with that much skill at that age are going to be available.
I think we have a
This
number
might
one.
be the only big package.
I think we need that 1A, 1B, but yeah. But Sather Dolan scares me. And then you get this quote from Mark Messier. In my opinion, if you're going to win, you got to be able to win in the street and the alley. I particularly would not have built the team that didn't have answers in this regard. Does he think it's 1980 and like he's going to get mugged?
I think so.
This guy.
I think so.
You need some of that, but you don't need your whole team to be like that's like the philosophy of your team.
Wasn't the Hall for Larson? Wasn't that what's his name? The old Boston GM.
Yeah, Chiarelli.
Chiarelli. Yeah,
so,
he makes awful trades.
If Chiarelli is involved, then yes, anything is possible. But I don't know if there's a GM currently employed that's that stupid.
He's not GMing anywhere, is he? Is he the GM of a team?
No, because he was considered for Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Well,
he's just out there.
He applied and was interviewed for Pittsburgh, so whether or not he's actually considered is
everybody away.
Question. But
yeah, New York Rangers actually were the youngest team in this league. They're actually going to get younger because you have Zach Jones and Lundqvist coming next year that are both 21, which is crazy. But
but Stamkos
and just
30
lastly,
or 29, and then that's going to put the average
lastly
up a
on the
bit.
enforcer thing, you see that an enforcer does not deter Tom Wilson, right? You saw it with Vegas and Jody Marchessault when he flat out destroys him on a backside check.
Ryan Reeves is on the team. That I'm talking about.
Yeah, Ryan Reeves is on the team. It's not like he deterred him from.
I mean, Ryan Reeves did destroy him after that.
Well, that was fantastic.
He still
but the point is, he still did it. Yeah, and that's why the Rangers thinking that they need a Tom Wilson deterrent. That's never going to work. Some positives on the Rangers, and this is actually positive for Steve too. The Rangers are the only team with 5 45-point scorers. The next team has 3. They're also tied with the Penguins for 3 20-goal scorers. The Rangers actually have the highest goal differential in 50 years to not make the playoffs. They're plus 23, and they were actually the highest in the division at one point with a plus 33.
That's good of him.
Goal differential.
Who just got saved?
What do you guys looking at? I'm not even.
Who? Oh, it's Scott. Is that Scott Thornton?
What are you looking at?
He's still in the league.
Watching the Florida
Tampa game.
Everybody's fighting.
One of the Tampa guys was getting. No, it's not. One of the Tampa guys was getting completely pummeled, and he just stopped because there's no refs. No refs were around.
The ref was just standing there watching.
Yeah, he had his fist. He had his fist cocked, but he just stopped because he knew he couldn't defend himself anymore, and this fight was over. So he just that's a big hit.
All right. Well,
anyway, I'm sorry. Sorry to interrupt your stat reading.
No, it was just saying that the Rangers are the 5 45-point scorers. They're tied with the Pens for 3 20-goal scorers, and they have the highest goal differential in 50 years to not make the playoffs at plus 23.
There's going to be, I think, crazy. There's going to be at least 2 teams making the playoffs that are in the negatives and goal differentials.
Yeah. Yep. And the Rangers actually were the highest in the division at plus 33 at one time. So pretty impressive. But coaches. Rick Tocchet and Torts are out in Columbus and Phoenix, respectively.
Arizona.
I don't know if you guys – Arizona, sorry. Yeah. They're saying Rangers, if they get rid of Quinn, bring in Torts. Oh, my God. I'm going to lose it.
That's so stupid.
I mean, I'll take Tocchet.
It had to be
Tocchett's pretty interesting. Or I also –
I would take Tocchet. Tocchett's a great coach.
Tocchet.
Great
or I
coach.
even might – Gerard Gallant would be pretty interesting, but we'll see. I don't know if you heard this rumor, but Rob Brindamore's contract offer for next season is 3 years, $1.8 million a year. Most coaches, Torts got $6 million this year, so you're giving probably one of the top 5 coaches in the league under $2 million a year.
He's going to be up for the Jack Adams.
Bonkers. Yeah.
Is he definitely coming back, or is he thinking about going to Seattle? Because Seattle still doesn't have a coach, which I think is strange. Shouldn't they have a coach by now?
No,
should
I
have
think
one
they
soon.
They waited until the draft for Gallant. Yeah, they went into the draft for Gallant.
The expansion draft?
Yeah.
Or the draft draft?
Expansion draft, sorry. So those guys are out.
They got
Brendan Moore,
options.
obviously, waiting for his
Pocket's
thing.
a great coach.
Speaking of Jack
I wouldn't be
Eichel
surprised if
and
they
the
did that.
Sabres, Sabres once again in the news. Jack Eichel and his disconnect with the Sabres over their injury. Apparently, he said, basically that their neck injury, they didn't want him to get surgery. I mean, the Sabres are going to lose this guy, and he's the best player they've had in probably 20 years, maybe even 30. From all the way from Howard Chuck and Pat LaFontaine, like these guys. It's amazing that they can't get their heads out of their ears.
Yeah, they're not taking very good care of their players or convincing anybody that it's worth staying.
Yep.
He did sign a massive contract, so we'll see. It's kind of not really up to him. Well, I guess he has some pull, but
well, yeah, I mean he does, right? If he is disgruntled, and I think at the end of the season coming up is his no trade clause comes into effect, so he does kind of have power here. A good story, David Backes, he hangs it up. I was listening to Elliot Friedman's podcast, and Backes talked about and how in 2010 after the Olympics, he would when the NHL came back to play, he would purposely go after Canadian players that were on that team and try to fight them because he lost the gold medal game.
Yeah.
So pretty good from Backes. Obviously, I remember him as being that power forward. Always going the gritty.
One of the
area.
best at one
definition of a power forward.
I mean, he was tough and a lot of fun to watch. That St. Louis team, he built, that team around him. Just a lot of fun to watch. But you guys any Backes stories?
I had a player tee of his.
Nice.
Yes, you did. I remember that.
Yeah, and then I donated a whole bunch of my stuff, and that was one of them to go. But I used to love Backes. You're just prototypical power forward, and he was great. And then he wasn't, which is I guess basically what you get from power forwards, right? They're really good and really effective until they're not.
And then
see, Tom,
they kind of drop off.
Yeah. This is where Tom Wilson, I think, is just dumb. You have the chance to be that Backes or that Corey Perry, that guy that just, annihilates the league playing in the, Corey Perry had some dirty moments, but playing in that spot where you drive fear into players, but you're not dirty. You're not considered like this trash player. And he has the ability to play hockey, and he just continually is a jackass.
Well, he doesn't. It goes back to one. He doesn't have much of a brain, so let's just get that out right now. And
he's a good hockey player.
Yes, but secondly, he's surrounded by enablers. So no one is trying to correct his actions.
No one's trying to stop him or help him or
the only thing that stops him are the suspensions every here and there that come and prevent him from playing. But no one in the organization is trying to make him change his ways, get cleaner, or use his assets more effectively. Nobody.
Yeah.
So if that's not happening and not coming from anybody, then he's never going to change. And you can't expect him to just change on his own. He's not going to do that. Especially if everybody's telling him to continue doing it. And the fan base loves it. It's a crapshoot. The whole thing.
Matt Banky on Facebook Live saying that Rangers better stay away from Michael. Injury prone and only 40% on face-offs over his career. The one thing I will say about that, I don't like that. 44% is not great, but face-offs are a lot more than just the centers. Your wingers and your defense make a big, a play on how that face-off turns out. And let's put it this way: Buffalo has not had very many talented players around Eichel to begin with, so maybe that helps out if he gets better players around him.
It could.
It's just
that's also something you can improve on over your career. I remember when Sid first came into the league.
Yeah,
he was not good. Now he's a friggin'
he's top
unbelievable
10
at faceoff.
Yeah.
Stamkos was horrible at faceoffs. Now he's gotten a lot better. Still not
Malkin
great,
was horrible at faceoffs, and today
over 50% now.
Still horrible at faceoffs.
Today's still horrible.
Stamkos wasn't even close to 50. He wasn't even sniffing 50. Now he's over 50%. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's a huge.
You can get better on face-offs, but I do agree. That doesn't look good.
Give me
the
a
optics.
break. If that's deterring you from because he's bad at face-offs, you don't want him on your team. A superstar like him. Give me a break.
Tom
He
Petrillo,
certainly needs
Backus,
he certainly needs to work on his faceoffs. That's for sure. But I think
he
just
can do that easily.
the fact he's an elite center is something that the Rangers need. So but it's worrisome if he's that bad at faceoffs. I would, it's something to think about.
Yeah, Petrillo with Backus, another legend from the 03 draft, another one the Rangers missed out on. So, Pavel Zacha finding his groove. A lot of Devils comments as well as some Ranger stuff.
Stastny would good. Matt Banky says, "I wonder how much Stastny." I don't know. Is Stastny signed for? I think he signed more than 1 year this offseason, right?
I think he's got one more year.
But that's a good. I mean, Stastny's a great veteran center. So that would be.
You think he's a second line center for Rangers or no?
I think he absolutely could be. Yeah, if you look at it, and he never puts up points in bunches, right? He's never like a 4-point. He busts out for 4 points, or he has like a hat trick or anything like that. But he consistently gets points. He's great in the face-off circle, and he's a great leader. So he would be very good on a Ranger team, in my opinion.
Well, you think he's better than Ryan Strome?
Surrounded by talent, so he's going to get the points. That's for sure.
You think he's better than Ryan Strome?
I think he's a different type of player. I think he might be better for the Rangers than Ryan. I don't know if he's better than Ryan Strome, but he might be better for the Rangers than Ryan Strome at this point, especially.
It's funny.
Little
I
veteran
didn't think,
leadership and.
The Rangers have obviously Zibit 1. They have 2 is Strome and 3 is Hedl, and I didn't think I'd like Ryan Strome.
That's gonna be UFA.
Yeah. Yep.
I didn't think I'd like Ryan Strome, but he has played very well with Panarin, and there is something to playing well with star players. Jari Kurri did it with Gretzky, and a bunch of players have played that same position with just Sidney Crosby, right? Kunitz became a star, because he could play with Crosby, and I think there is something to players playing well with stars. So Panarin, if Strome is that guy that plays well with Panarin, maybe if you give him a Lafreniere on his other wing and you have 2 stars and then a complimentary player in the middle, maybe that's something. I mean, I didn't think I'd want to re-sign him, especially because I think he's going to get a lot of money. But it doesn't make sense. Maybe Stromer stays and they trade Hedl or something like that. But
I think you should go for it. Bring in Eichel. Bring him in.
Yeah,
just do it. Just do it.
Just do it. Why not?
Yeah. Speaking of just a complete stud, Conor McDavid, 53 games, 100 points. He has another assist today. And I know Steve's going to give me the North. I
need him to get 2 points. He needs 1 more point tonight.
I was just gonna drop it real quick and then not say anything else about it.
That's valid.
He's playing
That's
in the
valid,
North.
and I agree.
I'm not gonna downplay how amazing and how phenomenal of a season he's had.
He has 36
playing against
points.
Ottawa. He's playing against Vancouver. He's playing against Calgary.
36 points in the last 14 games. That is bonkers.
You know what's awesome? Also, for the first time ever in NHL history, the league leader in points will have more than the league leader in penalty minutes. So there's more points scored than there was for the lead in penalty minutes, which is
that's the first
Tom
time
Wilson. Ever. Never happened before.
Wow.
It's come close a handful of times. It's been close, but it's never in the history of the league has there ever been somebody with more points.
This is the only way it could
than the person who had the highest penalty minutes
with a short season like this.
Tom Wilson, 86 penalty minutes. Conor McDavid, 101 points.
Yeah.
There's still games going on, and we'll get in the schedule in a second. But as of right now, Austin Matthews with 40 goals. I mean, 40 goals in under 50 games is amazing. That is, crazy.
You know who else is, speaking of goal scoring? Alex DeBrincat just scored his 32nd of the year.
32nd.
It's like, where the hell did Alex DeBrincat come from, right?
I mean, he's been known as a goal scorer. I didn't think he'd be this good.
Yeah, but I mean, he just scored. I believe, he just scored his 32nd today.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's still pretty awesome too. But yeah, Austin Matthews is down. No, DeBrincat is
he American?
American. No, am I right?
DeBrincat's American.
Am I thinking of?
Is he American? Nice.
But yeah, Austin Matthews is a machine. If it wasn't for that little lull that he had in the middle of the season there and the injuries, I think he maybe could have
Michigan
competed for 50.
Yeah,
Farmington Hills. Yep.
You also had Conor McDavid at 32. You have Draisaitl at 30 and Rantanen at 30. Obviously, Conor McDavid's killing everybody in assists with 69. Patrick Kane's next with 51. And then Conor McDavid points 100. Points 101. Draisaitl's at 79. He's 22 points ahead of his next guy.
That's crazy.
And he's on his damn team. Draisaitl, how far ahead is he of the next guy?
79 to
50?
67, Marchand and Marner.
I think Tyson. No, I'm talking about on Edmonton.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
on their team.
Yes.
Who's the next highest scorer?
Is it
Easily,
Tyson Barrie at like 40 something?
I was going to say
Probably.
Yamamoto at 36.
Yeah. We all know what's going to happen, right, with the MVP.
With Edmonton?
It's gonna go to McDavid. Well, yeah. We all know they're going to lose. Yeah. It's going to go to McDavid. I think second will be Austin Matthews in scoring, but third should be Sidney Crosby. And
I agree.
You have a very legitimate chance at saying that he could be the MVP of the league. And points are going to win out. That's just how it is.
That's just
Conor
how it is.
McDavid. Listen, Conor McDavid has 101 points. Crosby has 62. I mean, there's 40 points difference, and that does make a big difference.
But it does. I agree. And like I said in the beginning of the season, and how the Hart Trophy has just been awarded every single year, it's always going to go to the guy, almost always going to go to the guy who scores the most points. That's just how it works and how it always has. Every now and then you have one where they're just like, well, this guy brought him to the playoffs, so
who you didn't expect.
Why not?
But
I mean, what Sidney Crosby has done can't be, even though he's not going to win it, it can't be looked over that they had the third most man games lost to injury this season, including Evgeny Malkin missing 23 games. And for him to basically take the team on his back, granted, they had, towards the end especially, they had a lot of secondary scoring because they started to kind of, find their way and find their groove. But, with his leadership and, obviously the amount of points that he scored, they won the East. And, that nobody had them winning the East. And the most competitive league the most competitive division in the league, for him to take the team on his back and to do something like that, I mean, it's heart-worthy. He won't get it, but it's heart-worthy, and it's
actually, I think it's his his best MVP season since coming in the league. I think he's been that important to the team. All right, so quickly, and we'll get to some other things in a second, but Vasi's leading in wins, 3 over Grubauer and this is the interesting part.
Right.
Alex Nedeljkovic, he's the leader in goals against and save percentage. He's making a case to be the Calder winner. And, I know Kaprizov's there and so is Robertson.
Yeah.
He's
it'll be those three.
It's gonna be Kaprizov though. Nobody's taking from Kaprizov, but I agree about Nedeljkovic.
He'll get a couple votes there, but there's no way it's not going to
Kaprizov. 51 points, 27 goals, 24 assists.
He's so good. So good. And look at Minnesota too. I mean, a lot of it has to do with him. A lot of it.
Robertson with 43 points, 16 goals, and 27 assists in 50 games. Shesterkin, he's 16, 14, and 3, 31 games. He was very good for the Rangers this season. It's amazing he's a rookie. But and then Nedeljkovic, 23 games only, but he's 15, 5, and 3. Like I said, he is the best save percentage and goals against. And he's going to be the starter going to the playoffs. And if they win a cup, it's because of this kid. He's that legit.
You could channel his inner Cam Ward.
Yeah, Cam Ward.
Win him a cup in his rookie season.
Is he going to be the starter going into the playoffs?
That's what they say. That he. A lot of people think that it's going to be him because he's got the most talent of those three, and he
definitely should. And he's probably going to be there for the long haul and not Mrazek or
Might as
Reimer.
well. Why not get him started now?
Well, they think. Well, I guess here's the other side of that coin, right? If you put him in and he does bad, does this totally screw him up? Right? You can bring Reimer in or Mrazek, and it's going to be Mrazek, obviously. But you can put Mrazek in, and then if he stinks, you change over to Nedeljkovic, and then Mrazek's just like whatever. Right?
But really not.
Since this is your future, is that some? Yeah. Since this is your future, is that?
I think you just start whoever gives you the best chance to win.
I agree.
Regardless.
We talked about Eichel. We do some, Ovechkin's will return Tuesday for the Caps. We're talking about St. Louis Blues. Torrey Krug's going to return the lineup for the Kings. He's been out for 5 games with an upper body injury. Andre Kasha's playing against the Islanders today. He's back. He's with DeBrusque and Lazar.
Who's winning that game anyway?
It's 2-2 Islanders Bruins. And quickly back to the Rangers thing real fast. Dolan was actually made a point that their play against the Islanders this year is another reason why he thinks they need to get tougher, is because they were getting manhandled by the Islanders.
You can get tougher, but you don't have to make it like a focal point of your friggin' team.
All right, 3 stars of the week. Conor McDavid, 3 games, 13 points, all against Vancouver Canucks, of course. Second star, Kaprizov, 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points in 4 games for the Wild, 301. And then third star, Marc-Andre Fleury, 2-0-0.
Math.
He is
Good old math.
moves into sole possession of third place for all-time wins by a goalie. He surpassed Luongo for third place all-time by a netminder with 26 saves and a 3-2 overtime win against the Wild. Very good for Fleury. We'll see what happens with him. Rangers news, Ryan Lindgren gets a 3-year, $3 million per deal for the Rangers. I like it. And then let's go to the schedules. So the Leafs wrap up their first division title since 2000. Tampa versus Florida tonight. The winner gets home ice advantage as long as the Tampa wins in regulation.
That ain't happening. It's gonna be Florida.
Nope. Bruins and Isles
so
battle. Yeah. Bruins Isles battle for the 3rd seed. Games will be played through May 19th, but the standings could be set by Wednesday when Montreal just needs a point to clinch their the final playoff spot. All right, so boys, here's to you guys on a whim. Who wins each division? So who makes the conference finals?
Who's coming out of each playoff?
Yep.
So just who's going to win each division?
Yep. And we're recording this.
Or who do we want to?
I'm going to give Steve.
You go first. Let me think.
I know who I want.
No, I'm not going first.
I'll go first. I don't give a S.
Schwim, fine. All right, Schwim, go ahead.
All right, so I got to go with Vegas out there. I really want to say Toronto, but they're so disappointing every year.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could say them. This is tough.
Who are you taking?
You know what? I'll say they lift the curse this year. I'll say Toronto.
All right,
comes out of there.
Toronto. Obviously, you're getting Tampa.
Yeah, I got to pick Tampa. Obviously, I'm a homer. And then who am I forgetting? The other one? Oh yeah, East. Pittsburgh, Washington, Boston, Islanders.
Yep.
I want to say like Boston or Pittsburgh. I don't think the Islanders. I think they're done.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. You know what? I like the way Pittsburgh's playing. I'll go Pittsburgh. And I'm not just saying that because Steven's right next to me and can punch me in the dick.
Esteban, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm also going to pick Vegas, and I'm going to tell you why now, because Minnesota is going to beat Colorado.
Wow.
I think they'll knock one of the Giants out and then lose.
All right.
So I'll pick Vegas. I also have to pick Toronto. Because
we might have a 3-peat.
There's just, no one in the North.
We all know they're not going to win, and we're still picking them.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just so because the matchups are so in their favor. They're so in their favor. Montreal is barely they're limping into the playoffs, right? Because they're trying their damnedest to not make the playoffs at this point, it seems. So they should steamroll Montreal. And then, of course, you're going to get Winnipeg, Edmonton, and everybody wants to think, well, Edmonton should, right? Maybe. They probably should beat Winnipeg.
Yeah.
But you never know because Edmonton's another team that you just never know. And Edmonton-Toronto matchup would be great. But Toronto is just such a superior team, even though they're in such a weak division, that I just can't not pick them. They have to. They can't screw this up. They really can't. This is the best. If they screw this up, I don't think they're going to win ever. Because this is like the best.
To Montreal first round, and we're all going to be like,
the best chance for them to make the Final Four. This is the best chance for them to make the Final Four. The path is set for them, and it's as easy as they'll ever have it, no matter who they match up against.
I'm changing my vote. Toronto is losing to Montreal first round. I'm calling it right now.
Toronto.
No, I'm going back on it. I'm reneging.
Well, then who's coming out then?
Not Montreal, but
well, I'll pick Toronto. Okay, so let me keep going.
And then I'll go Edmonton.
I'll pick. So I'm with Schwim with Vegas and Toronto. Schwim. I think it's going to be Carolina.
They look good. I mean, I have no idea what's going on with all the injured players on Tampa. Yeah. So are they going to be ready for the Tampa playoffs? I have no idea.
I don't know.
There's so many friggin' superstars out right now.
I think it's going to be Carolina
Vegas, Toronto, Carolina, and Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm abstaining from the East. I'm not giving an answer.
No. You have to give a team. Come on.
I don't know what
it's Pittsburgh.
He was doing on this play.
You're not dumb enough to say not Pittsburgh.
Last time I picked Pittsburgh, things went very badly. So I don't want to pick them again. I'm abstaining.
No,
All right, Dean, your
fine.
turn.
I'm giving you Pitt. I'm going Colorado. I think they do beat Minnesota. I think it's going to be a good series, but I do think they win there.
Minnesota can win the division. Technically, they
Any
can
one of those
still win
teams
the
can still win
division.
the division.
Yeah, I know.
That's crazy. They probably won't, but they can.
You want to hear a shocker here? I'm going Winnipeg.
Winnipeg. I was
Okay.
thinking about it, but
I'm going Winnipeg.
okay.
I think
All
that
right.
they can beat Edmonton, and
Toronto's
I
girl.
think they have the firepower to stay
No.
with Toronto. They just have the goalie that can shut series down, and
They do.
goalies
Yeah,
do
they
make
do.
the difference.
They have the best goalie in that out of those. I mean,
That
of course,
division.
you don't know how you saw how good Carey Price was in the playoffs last season. So if he gets healthy, comes back and plays like he did, I still don't think they can beat Toronto, but I think Hellebuck is by far the best goalie.
Yeah,
left.
definitely. We all know who has the worst goaltending in that division.
Well, Koskinen is record-settingly bad, which is insane. He let in the first 4 shots the other night.
Saw that.
Yeah, he did.
I'm like, is Mike Smith in? No, it's not it.
Schwim, I want to take Tampa, and I think I'm going to, but Carolina does really scare the crap out of me.
Yeah.
And I think that goalie, if they can get it going, I'm giving Tampa the edge. And then
Tampa
you
plays
guys
very
all-
well against Carolina, but again, I know you throw all that out
Florida,
once you get the
though.
Yeah.
playoffs.
Florida,
but
they're not. It doesn't seem
I
like
don't even know if they're
playing
going to get by
well
Florida,
against
but again,
it's-
they're playing
I think
with
they
their
beat
damn
Florida.
junior team tonight.
Yeah.
So
Man, I don't want to take any of the other 3 teams. I really don't like Pittsburgh either. The East sucks. Islanders,
specifically,
I don't think
I will not bet against fucking Barry. Sorry, I just cursed. I will not
Barry
bet
Trotz.
against Barry Trotz. I won't do it, even though the
I won't
Islanders
bet,
don't
but
look good.
I don't think
But I
they're-
cannot bet
they don't
against
look good.
Barry Trotz, which is why I can't. I'm not picking anybody
this is
because
gonna make me sick.
it seems almost certain at this point. It's not engraved yet that they're playing the Islanders, but because it's either the Islanders or Boston. Pittsburgh will be playing the first round, but the Islanders need to win. I don't know.
only
Yeah,
have
they
one
need to
game
win.
left,
They need to
right?
beat them in regulation, so they need
But
to.
Boston has 2 games, I think.
Boston needs
tonight
to
and
lose
another
both of theirs.
Yeah.
And,
Islanders have to win tonight.
have to win in regulation, and Boston needs to lose both their games. They
Yeah.
can't get a point.
So,
I hate.
It's not
It
guaranteed.
seems unlikely.
So it's
unlikely.
more
but-
likely that you're probably going to play the
Yeah,
Islanders.
yes,
Yeah,
and
so
I can't
I'd
bet
rather-
against Trotz.
I'd want to play them.
I
not
would
Boston.
too, but I can't bet against Trotz. Yeah, I don't want to bet. I don't want to play Boston. Boston looks like one of the better teams right currently. They're one of the hottest teams that are playing, even though they got
All right.
smoked by the Rangers.
Call it in there. Heads or tails?
Heads.
It's tails. All right, I got to go with Washington. It was between Boston and Washington, and went Washington. I'm going Washington.
Picking Washington, huh?
Yeah,
I hope
for
they
that
get killed.
4.
That's
I hope they
disgusting.
do too.
I
hate
don't think.
all 4.
I honestly
hate all
don't
4
think.
teams.
I don't think Washington can beat Boston.
In a 7-game series?
Maybe.
No,
I don't think so.
All right,
either.
fine.
I
You
really
know
don't
what?
think so.
I'm going to take Boston. I'm taking Boston. Like I said.
Okay, that's a safe bet.
All right. Canada wins the U18 championship. Bedard with that backhand, which was Crosby-esque. It was ridiculous. And then Shane Wright, 2
nasty.
goals. Those are the 2 first overall picks in 2022 and 2023. So you just watched history. This week in history, real quickly. 1982, new owners headed by John McMullen buy NHL's Colorado Rockies and move the team to the New Jersey Meadowlands under the new name, the New Jersey Devils. On the 8th of May in 1988, amateur referees worked the New Jersey Devil Boston Bruin playoff game as NHL referees walk off due to a restraining order brought by the New Jersey Devils. So I got to go and look into that a little bit, but apparently the Devils put a restraining order on the referees. And then May 3rd, 1991, Cam Neely is injured on a cheap shot by Ulf Samuelsson, an injury that would limit him to only 162 games for the remainder of his NHL career and force him to retire at age 31. Some rumors,
By the
Seth
way,
Jones.
a better guarantee than Mark Messier's was made in that series.
True.
In case nobody
Matt-
knows about it, Kevin Stevens, real quick, they went down 2-0, and Kevin Stevens guaranteed they would win 4 straight, and they did.
Pretty good.
Continue.
Matt
Take that,
Banky,
Messier.
he says
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, Vegas, Edmonton, and the Canes.
That's a good. That's a
that's
good
a good
get.
one.
Yeah.
Craig Best says Winnipeg.
I'm rooting for him. I'm there
I
with
wouldn't mind
you.
seeing them come out of there.
Yeah.
Because you know it's not Toronto. I already picked against them. You heard it here first.
Like
Oh,
we said,
Montreal.
Seth
You heard
Jones,
it here second because he changed his mind.
uncertain
That's true.
future. He might leave eventually the Columbus Blue Jackets.
As he should.
He should, because they suck.
Yep, he should. All right, so some trivia before we leave. Name the last defenseman to win back-to-back Norris trophies.
Not Nicholas Lidstrom.
Lidstrom?
Lidstrom. He won from 05, 06 to 07. He won from 05
believe
to
it.
07. He also won from 00 to 03. Who was the defenseman to beat his 6P? He would have won 7 in a row if this player did not
Pronger?
usurp him. No, it was Scott Niedermayer.
Niedermayer.
Niedermayer,
But geez,
Nerdmeyer.
imagine Niedermayer sandwiched in between Lidstrom.
Yep,
Those are,
Niedermayer sandwich.
Lidstrom is he's so good.
375. 375. Banana.
Too juicy. Deliciousness. 4.
4 for me.
4 for you.
Even though it's
Schwim,
juice.
take her
True.
home, buddy.
I don't have anything to say, but I'm going to say happy belated Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
Oh, yeah. Happy Mother's Day
Happy
to any
belated
mothers.
Mother's Day.
Beth,
Especially
Beth, I know you're
Tell
listening.
Beth, happy Mother's Day.
Yep, I got a little girl up there. She's fantastic. Boys, see you later.
Adios.
Peace.